Hi everyone, this is Josh Blatt with BW Modern. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to construct your refrigerator cabinet. And doing this is a really kind of a delicate process, but we want to make sure we get it right, so we don't have any issues with our refrigerator fitting or, the doors hitting the walls or anything like that. So what I've done here is, we're going to start this kitchen design. And as I'm going through this kitchen design, I'm going to kind of tackle a few different, parameters of a kitchen as we're putting this thing together. But this one we're going to start with the refrigerator. So what I've done here is I found a refrigerator I like. I like this this French door KitchenAid here. It's got a nice black finish on it. It's really a nice refrigerator. But when you finish picking your refrigerator and you know which one you want to use, what you want to do is you want to find the specifications for that refrigerator, and you can always find them somewhere on the manufacturer's website. So usually you can look for, a manuals and guides tab or something like that, something that's got a download. So if I go to there, you can see here I've got the dimensions guide here, which I've already downloaded, but if I'll go ahead and just download it again. And that's going to bring up the dimensions guide for this particular refrigerator that we're going to use in this kitchen design. And so, we can look at this and it's going to tell us, the critical measurements of the refrigerator. And then also it's going to tell us, location requirements, what kind of clearances we need for this thing to properly ventilate and to not, have the door hit the wall or anything like that. So if we read here, it says that this refrigerator needs a 1/2 inch of clearance space on each side and at the top. And you also need to allow for 1 inch of space behind the refrigerator. So this is kind of giving us some numbers here that we need to work with to make sure this refrigerator, functions properly. It also looks like there's a clearance number here of the side, for a minimum to make sure this door can swing if it's up against a wall. So if we come back up to the top, we're going to see, the measurements for the refrigerator. And I'm going to go ahead and go into BW Modern here, and I'm going to go to Appliances, and then I'm going to grab a refrigerator. And this one here actually really looks like what we're looking at for the KitchenAid refrigerator. So I'm going to bring that thing in. And now the next thing I want to do is I want to make this the same size as what we're actually purchasing. So if I go in here and I look at my H dimension, which is the width of the refrigerator, now you can see in this brochure there's a lot of different model numbers on it, so we want to make sure we're looking at the right one down here because it looks like there's a couple different sizes. So I'm going to go back to the website and I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to see that this is the 305E. And if I go back to the dimensions guide and I come down, so we have the 305E. So it's actually this bottom one right here. So the H width of the refrigerator is 35 7/8. So I'm going to make the refrigerator 35 7/8. And then we can go back into the dimensions guide and we can get the height, which is going to be the overall height, which is A. And that's going to be 70 1/8. So I'm going to put in 70 1/8. And then next to depth, I'm just going to pick the deepest that we can make it. So now we have the refrigerator at the same size that it says in the dimensions guide. So now we're going to create our space for the refrigerator, for it to sit in with the custom components available in BW Modern. So what I'm going to do is say this is, open to my great room out this way, and I want just a nice finished side on the refrigerator here. I'm going to come into the appliance, or the catalog, sorry. I'm going to go to ends and fillers, and I'm going to pick my tall applied in. I'm just going to go ahead and bring in one of these applied ends. Now say I want my overall design of my kitchen to be at 8 feet. I'm going to change this to 8 feet. I'm going to make my end panel 8 feet. And say I want this to start 4 inches from the corner of my room here. And then I can type in this measurement. You can see it right here, to wall. That's 4 inches out of the corner. So now I'm 4 inches out of the corner there. Now if we go back into the spec sheets for the refrigerator, this one here that's 35 7/8, we can see that it wants a 1/2 inch of clearance, all the way around it where it's not touching a wall. If it's butting into a wall, it wants 2.5, but everywhere else it wants a 1/2 inch. So, and it specifies that very clearly right here. So, what we want to do is we want to place our refrigerator a 1/2 inch away from this panel. So I can do that by doing some quick math. If this thing's 4 inches from the wall and it's 3/4 of an inch thick, so that's going to get me up to 4 3/4. If I place this at 5 1/4, it's going to get it that 1/2 inch away from the wall, from the applied end there that the dimension guide specified for it. So we've got that clearance. Next we can pick our cabinet that we want to put above the refrigerator. So if I go down to wall refrigerator cabinets, we have a couple different configurations for them. We can pull in one that's just close to the right size, and we've got some dividers in this one, so we can make this the same depth come out as our end panel by changing it to 25.5. And then now what we want to do is we want to figure out how wide this thing needs to be to meet the requirements for the refrigerator. So if we go to the refrigerator and it's 35 7/8 wide, and we go back to the dimensions guide and it says it wants a 1/2 inch of clearance on both sides, that means we're going to need to make this cabinet 36 7/8. So that's going to be exactly 1 inch bigger than the refrigerator, which is going to provide our 1/2 inch of clearance on both sides. So now we've set our width for that cabinet. Next we're going to figure out the height. So if I grab a calculator and I take our end panel height, which is this here, which is 96, and I input it into my calculator, 96, and then I minus the height of the refrigerator, which is 70 1/8. So I'm going to minus the 70.125, and then I'm going to deduct the 1/2 inch of clearance that it wants on top of the refrigerator. So I'm going to deduct another 1/2 inch, so minus 0.5, and that's going to give me a remaining space of 25 3/8. So I'm going to make this cabinet 25.375 inches tall, and now we have a completely custom sized cabinet which is providing our 1/2 inch of clearance all the way around. Now that we have that set, I can grab another end panel if I need another tall end panel on this side, and I can merely just stick it to the side of the cabinet here. And now I've created my opening for the refrigerator. Okay, so this is going to provide the same 1/2 inch of clearance all the way around that the dimension guide specified for the appliance. So next we'll put it next to a wall, to kind of mimic this situation right here. So what I'm going to do that is, there's a couple things that we need to pay attention to on this. And we're going to pretend that this is our wall on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that end panel. Now I'm going to come into my end panels and fillers, and I'm going to grab a tall right column. This just seems like probably the best thing to use here. And now that I have a tall right column in the designer, I'm going to move it into the corner, and I'm going to go back to our product specification and see that it needs to be a minimum of 2.5 inches. So I'm going to make it 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to make it the 96 inches, the 8 feet tall that we determined we want all of our cabinets in our kitchen to be. And now I've got that column spacer part there in the designer, which is going to space the distance off of this wall that